Alright, hey and welcome to example 4. In this example we're going to take a look at the shape tab in the Pyro solver. So the setup here in subs is the same. It's just a sphere, a volume, we create a density and a temperature field, and then out density 3 and a null to kind of recognize later on in the .NET. So let's dive into the .NET. In the .NET here, we have the same setup on the nodes. We have the gas, reset, fluid, dynamic field, we have the smoke object, and we have the source volume node. The source volume node is sourcing from the out density 3. It's sourcing our density and our temperature. The smoke object is basically just for visualizing. In this instance, we are gonna visualize with the density, not the multi-field, and the division size is 0.1, the same as always. So that is about it. I've written here on the stick note kind of what each parameter in the shape tab on Pyro solver does, but I'm going to go over it more in this video. So let's go to the Pyro solver and let's go to the shape tab. I've just done buoyancy lift. I've multiplied it by 20 to get some kind of, this is how it looks without any forces acting on this. Simply as rises. Maybe I'll do, actually I'll do a little bit more. Let's put multiply by 100 to just get something interesting to happen. Alright, cool. So let's go to the shape tab and have a look. So dissipation is basically it causes the smoke to disappear over time. I'm just going to read from the description. Low values cause smoke to disappear slowly, high values causes smoke to disappear quickly. So this is basically just a dispersion of the density. As would happen in real life when smoke kind of gets so far apart, the molecules get so far apart that the density becomes almost zero. And that's kind of what happens here as well. This dissipation works both with the temperature and the velocity. So high velocity and high temperature kind of disperses it even more. But yeah. So this slider, I usually keep it at 0.1, roughly around there. That usually gives me a really good result. Yeah. So let's keep this dissipation on for the rest of the tutorial, just so you know. And next up, we are gonna do disturbance. So disturbance is kind of a small scale noise turbulent thing to add. And usually it's a good practice to actually use disturbance together with the turbulence and let the turbulence take care of any large or mid-scale noise you want in your smoke, because the turbulence will actually push the velocities, while the disturbance can take care of the smaller, like more finely detailed noise in the edges of your smoke. The disturbance can be quite heavy, so sometimes you want to keep it kind of low at 1, and it's quite a good practice to have disturbance at 1. Yeah, exactly. And the block size is kind of the block size of the noise. So the block size, you kind of want to keep it small as well. Usually I keep it at 0.1, something like that. It's also a very good practice to use a control field with the disturbance. We'll get into that more later on, but yeah, and kind of control it by the velocity of the smoke. Anyway, so that's disturbance. The disturbance will look kind of like this. Let's put it to exaggerated here to 5, and let's actually put the block size to 5 to like actually see what's going on. And we can see we have those like finely detailed little noisy things going on at the edge or smoke, and that's kind of what disturbance will do. It will push and tear a little bit and create these fine details. So let's switch off disturbance and let's put shredding on. Shredding I'm not going to talk too much about in this tutorial, because shredding is mainly something you do with fire and combustion, and we haven't really talked about combustion and fuel yet, so I will leave that to that tutorial. But I'm just going to play it and see, so we can see what actually happens with shredding. It's kind of the same, but it will, if you read what it says here, if you hover your mouse, it pushes and pulls the velocity field based on the gradient of the heat field. Gradient of the heat field, we haven't discussed that what it says either, but it's basically to create more streaky and licky type of fires. So let's not talk about this one even more in the tutorial, so let's switch it off. Sharpening will basically just sharpen your features. It uses the velocity field and it sharpens the velocity field to make a more wispy and streaky kind of smoke instead of a fluffy and big featured smoke. So it's kind of a cool thing to use if you want to make cigarette smoke or like a burning candle, or you know, small scale smoke elements basically. Yeah. Next up we have the turbulence. Turbulence we've used a little bit before. Turbulence basically just creates this like bigger type noise effect on our smoke, and this one you will almost always want to keep on smoke because it will give it that like wispy type smoky look. Turbulence, we can turn it up a little bit higher to 10, and it will give us, wow, a lot of turbulence, as you can see. The turbulence also has a sub-tab, as all of these do actually: dissipation, disturbance, shredding, sharpness, turbulence. But turbulence, you might always want to go in here because there is a lot of things you can change here. As you can see, the element here is quite small. If you want to make the swirls even bigger, then we can up this, which is basically the frequency, I would say. So let's put the swirl size to 10 and see what happens. We can now see that the swirls are very large, like that. That's kind of cool actually, but yeah. I mean, no smoke really looks like this, which is it's a bit crazy actually, but yeah. Let's put it to 5 maybe and see what happens then. It's kind of smaller. It looks like a ghost almost. I don't know. But yeah. So the default one is 1. Let's put it to 2, and let's change maybe pulse length, which is basically how long how long each octave is like in process. So this kind of makes the noise go faster or slower, kind of. So if I put it at 2, the noise is going to be very, very slow. I can even afford going slower. Let's put swirl size to 1 and go pulse length to 10 and see what happens. As you see, it's not really slow, but it's more like a good amount of rate. And if I put the pulse length to 0.1, let's see what happens. You see, it's going super fast. Let's put the pulse length to 500 and see what happens. Still pretty fast, but that's because our swirl size here is so small. Let's put the swirl size to 3, and let's put the grain to 0 and see what happens. Whoa, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, so definitely go in here in turbulence and kind of play around with these things and see what's happening when you change things. But usually you just want to play with swirl size and pulse length. Seed, sure, you can play with it. Turbulence, sure. Infinite threshold, whatever. But you can also visualize what's going on with the turbulence by clicking this visualization, and it's sub tab. And you can see the actual velocity field in here, which is kind of useful sometimes when you want to see what's going on. You can also have a control field, which means that you can actually use the density field. So when low densities occur, the turbulence can be less. And when it's high density, you can have more, basically. So let's put the control influence to 1, which means 100% of our turbulence will be controlled by the density of our smoke. And let's see what happens. And this basically means that if I put this back to 1, when a low density occurs, our turbulence is going to be lower. 3. Which is usually like a very cool thing to use as well, because when it's low density, we don't want any crazy motion in low density areas. Because so yeah, that's kind of how turbulence works. Definitely go through these and kind of look around and see what happens. Yeah, so that's it for turbulence. Now let's enable turbulence and disturbance. Let's shrink the turbulence a little bit to 1. Let's do disturbance. Let's set up a control field. Let's put temperature. Let's put it to 1. Let's see what happens. Actually, never mind. Let's not use it. Control field. Let's put this to 8 and turbulence to 2. Then switch off the visualization of the turbulence and let's see what happens. So now, as you can see, we have these small tiny details and bigger kind of details with the turbulence, and yeah, we're getting kind of like a very noisy, I'd say. We probably want to lower this, but a very like a lot of detail in it. This is kind of a cool setting. This looks nice. We have these small kind of details, but also the large ones. Nice. So yeah, and then confinement. Confinement you would usually use when it's like really large scale things. For example, like plumes out of volcanoes or something like this. Confinement is kind of it's a boost for the vorticities, and it's increasing the curliness. But we're not going to go over this too much in this tutorial, but probably in a future example we'll go over it. But it's a very nice feature to use sometimes, and he enhances the curliness of things in a very cool way. So yeah, that's it for the shape tab. So definitely always keep a track on dissipation, disturbance, and turbulence. The other 3, shredding, sharpening, and confinement, is kind of up to you. Let's try some sharpening on this and see what happens. Yeah, it's a little bit sharper, but anyway. Anyway, that's all for the shape tab. Definitely take a look at these and take a look at the sub tabs and even the sub tabs and see what's going on there. So yeah. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next example. Thank you.